Hey, this is Mercedes. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 ways that you can bring more humanness to your parenting. Because we all know that no matter how great of a parent you are, if you're not being true to yourself and authentic to your humanness, you're going to have a harder time. So let's jump right in. The first way that you can really begin to bring more humanness to your parenting is to start with empathy. And I talk a lot about empathy, and if you have been a follower of my blog for any amount of time, you know that empathy is my #1 most recommended parenting skill. When I talk about empathy, I'm not saying that you're supposed to let everything go and not really talk things through, but what I'm talking about, #1, is empathy for yourself. To really be able to look at yourself and say, it's okay that I haven't done everything right. And that it's okay that when I do things right, that's great. And when I don't do things so great, that's also great. It's really good for you to have that empathy for yourself, because once you can see that you don't always do everything great and that you don't always get it right 100% of the time, you can begin to look at other members of your family and say, hey, they're just like me. They sometimes mess up. They sometimes have barriers to their communication. They sometimes have a thought that doesn't always make it out to what they communicate. They sometimes have a feeling that's not always expressed in the best way. And that will really start with you building empathy for yourself and seeing those things in yourself first. That way you'll be able to see those same things with your family as well. The second thing that you can do to bring more humanness to your parenting is to really realize that there is an emotional range to every aspect of our life. No one lives in all anger and no one lives in all happiness. We are all humans that kind of vacillate between being really excited and really positive to being sometimes really negative and really depressed or sad. Nobody stays in those ranges, and understanding that our emotions are very temporary. Again, starting with that awareness for yourself will help you to bring more humanness to your parenting, so that way when you see your family, your partner, your child kind of living in that emotional range, you're able to say, hey, I understand what that is because I too have an emotional range. I too live in the fluidity of going from being positive to negative, sometimes in the same day, sometimes in the same hour. And again, I think that really goes in line with that first step of starting with empathy, because when you have that empathy for other people's emotional range as well as yourself, it kind of adds to that communication and that expression of feelings where we all know that we're human, we have feelings. Sometimes they're expressed in a healthy way and sometimes not. But we can all support each other and we can all be there for each other as we live in that emotional range, as we vacillate in our emotional range. Another great piece to add to that emotional range, and I know it's a newer movie, but I love the movie Inside Out for families. I really highly suggest that if you don't have that movie in your family's movie library, to get it. Either you get it on demand virtually, or you can get it in the physical DVD or Blu-ray copy. But I think it's a really great thing to have in our families, because we can watch that movie and we can take the idea of emotions off of us and say, hey, what's going on with anger? What's going on with sadness? What's going on with fear? What's going on for Riley? And to really begin to have those discussions about having an emotional range. And again, that brings more humanness to us because we're watching these characters live in their emotions and live in that humanness, and we can also identify with it. Lastly, and this tip I think is really healthy just in general, but this idea of not having black or white thinking. Nothing is 100% right and nothing is 100% wrong. There are times in our lives where we live in that gray area. Sometimes our child's meltdowns aren't 100% wrong. Sometimes we're living in that gray area of, should they be having a meltdown right now? Should they be feeling bad right now? Is this something that actually makes sense for where they're at in their life? And again, I think starting with ourselves first, saying nothing that I do is 100% wrong and nothing that I do is 100% right. That sometimes I'm in the middle of that gray area where I'm realizing that the things that I do are very circumstantial and are very based on what's going on in my environment. So let's recap the 3 ways that you can bring more humanness to your parenting. #1, start with empathy, not just for others, but also for yourself. When you have that self-empathy and you understand that you're human and sometimes you're not always doing it 100%, you can also open that same understanding to other people and say, hey, it's okay if they're not always being 100% as well. The second one is to really think about our emotional range and the fact that nobody lives in the extreme of happiness or in the extreme of sadness, and that our emotions kind of are fluid and they go back and forth and we vacillate between all of these emotions on a daily basis. And then lastly, never staying in that black and white thinking. Definitely knowing the difference between right versus wrong, but understanding that you, your children, your partner, your family, you all kind of live in that gray area sometimes, especially as you're all trying to be wholly and authentically human. Thank you so much for watching the video today. I really hope that the tips in this video help you to discover and unlock your parenting powers. If you want to learn more about me and what I do as a parent coach, go to my website, theparentingskill.com, where you can start the 7-day parenting challenge, and you can also learn more about what I do and get all of the free resources that I have there on the site. Look forward to seeing you at the site. Bye.